These are my top 20 clue set Ravnica thing. I can never remember. Markov Manor that everybody calls it, Karlov. Whatever. These are my top 20 commons, and then these are in no particular order. First off, we've got Novice Inspector. It's just a functional reprint of 3-Bin Inspector, which is actually really kind of nice, because then now maybe you can have 4 of them in your Pauper deck for some reason. I don't know. Next is Deduce. This is just draw a card, investigate. This is practically 2 cards. Let's be honest. But I think this is just cool, plus lots of clue synergy in the set, obviously, so this will just be a really neat one. I'd like to see, what else we could make with it. Out Cold. The spell can't be countered. They're putting this on a lot of commons nowadays, it feels like. Tap up to 2 target creatures and put a stun counter on each of them. Wow. And then you also investigate. So I feel like artifacts are going to start making a comeback at some point, I guess, in Pauper. Not that they've gone away, but there's just more artifact stuff. Extract a Confession. As an additional cost to cast a spell, you can collect evidence 6. So you just exile that mana value or whatever from your graveyard, and then each opponent sacrifices a creature. But if the evidence was collected, instead each opponent sacks a creature with the greatest power among creatures they control. So it's a really nice one for those graveyard filling decks that can just wipe out the biggest thing, like some sort of enchantment deck that just kind of builds tall. I don't know. This could be really good. Rot Farm Mortipede. This one's wild. So, geez, I just looked at this art again for this. Holy crap. This thing's wild. Whenever one or more creature cards leave your graveyard, it gets +1/+0 and gains menace and lifelink until end of turn. So this actually works well with like the frog that exiles from the graveyard and stuff like that, because it's leaving the graveyard and then it gets +1/+0. So it's just a mill and then get bigger, and I don't know. I think it's just really kind of cool. Plus, it works well with the collect evidence effect. So that I think that's really neat. Slice from the Shadows. This spell can't be countered. I told you, more can't be countered on common spells, which is insane. Target creature gets -X/-X until end of turn. What? This should not be a common. It's really good, actually. Snarling Gorehound. 1/1 with menace, and whenever another creature with power 2 or less enters under your control, surveil 1. Again, lots of graveyard synergy or just small creature synergy that just enter and then surveil, enter, surveil, enter, surveil. So you're just pounding through that deck and you're getting out all your best stuff, I guess. Toxin Analysis. Target creature gains Death Touch and Lifelink until end of turn, and you investigate. So this is 1 mana, investigate, and you get Death Touch and Lifelink until end of turn. I think this is really clever in black, because I don't feel like black investigates as much as the other colors, but I think this is actually pretty darn cool as for a nice little combat trick. Unscrupulous Agent. It's an elf detective, and when it enters, target opponent exiles a card from their hand. This is like the snail thing from the last set that's just the same thing. Maybe, man, I'm just going to pack a deck full of these. This is going to be just dumb. Demand Answers is an additional cost to cast a spell, sack an artifact, or discard a card, and then you draw 2 cards. I think these are actually really handy in a lot of decks, and I'm glad that there are more of them that are coming out that just kind of replace the old ones that are getting a little lackluster. Plus the art is just really good. Felonious Rage. It's a 1 red instant. Target creature you control gets +2/+0 and gains haste until end of turn. When the creature dies this turn, you create a 2/2 white and blue detective. I like this kind of effect because it replaces your creature at instant speed, and maybe it's not as big, but hey, you just kind of replace and you still have a blocker for next turn. Gearbrain Orangutan. That's an ape that I need to put in my monkey deck, and it has 2/2 reach. When it enters, you can destroy an artifact or sacrifice an artifact and put 2 counters on it. Another really cool artifact synergy. I don't know if it's going to see lots of Pauper play, but I think the reach and being able to choose between sacking or destroying is actually quite nice, which basically means you get a 4/4 for 3 mana if you sacrifice the artifact. Pick your poison. This one's really cool. Choose one. Each opponent sacks an artifact, or they sack an enchantment, or they sack a creature with flying for just 1 green mana. Sure, it's at sorcery speed, but being able to choose between these and just having an opponent just get rid of something that's really precious to them at the time, I think this is actually really cool. Rubble Belt Maverick. For 1 mana, you get a 1/1. When it enters, you surveil 2, and then you can exile it from your graveyard. Hey, look, another exile from your graveyard card for that other one. And you put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. So this one's good in your graveyard, it's good in the battlefield, it's good when it dies. It's It's just really nice. I think this could see a lot of synergy in those green, black, and maybe blue mill decks that I've been seeing. So this one could step up the game somewhat. And of course we have to put in Slime Against Humanity. Everybody knows what this card does, but you just make a 0/0 ooze and put X counters on it, where X is 2 plus the total number of cards you own in exile and in your graveyard that are named this. or I guess oozes. I just saw that too. Oozes or named Slime Against Humanity. So, and a deck can have any number of them. So you can just make a big ooze deck, and that'll be really fun, and I'll probably make it because it's so silly. Oh, they went this way. Oh my gosh, I just saw Fibblethip right there. Look at that. You search your library for basic land, put it on battlefield tapped, then investigate. Sure, this is not your rampant growth for 2 mana for the land. But hey, you also get that clue token at the same time, so you get an extra card draw later on. I just kind of find that really interesting, and it's just another way to find a land that could be useful in maybe your commander deck. And everybody's favorite, Tunnel Tipster. It's a Mole Scout, gearing up for the red wall set, and at the beginning of your end step, if a face-down creature entered under your control this turn, you put a +1/+1 counter on it, and it's a mana dork that taps for green. So this will be really good in those morph and/or what are the hidden people deck. I don't know. There's too many things going on, but this one's cool. Dog Walker, red, white, vigilance, disguise. Hey, I was just talking about that. Disguise. That's the word. Yeah. When it's turned face up, you create 2 1/1 white dogs. Look at that. That's pretty cool. So you disguise it, and then you get 2 dogs. And it's got vigilance, so that's kind of fun. Escape Tunnel. This is just a power creeped Evolving Wilds. Does the same thing as Evolving Wilds, but it also sacks to make something 2 or less unblockable. This is some pretty cool utility, but did we really need it? I don't know. It's just swap all your Evolving Wilds for this, because honestly, even if you don't use the second ability, it's still there, and you still get an Evolving Wild. So this one's going to be crazy. And lastly, we've got Public Thoroughfare. The last 2 are, of course, lands. Why would you think otherwise? It just happened that way. I don't know. When it enters, you sacrifice it unless you tap an untapped artifact or land you control and add 1 mana of any color. So this is another power creeped Gateway Plaza, which I don't need to tell you is actually pretty neat. I don't know, for an additional small cost for a turn, you get any color of mana. Sure, it's slow and it's not the best, whatever, but I like these types of cards. And now you can tap an artifact or a land. So you're not using up one of the lands that you might need for later, and then you get a mana of any color. All right, what did you think of these? I really like these. Obviously, they're my top 20, so tell me what you guys think in the comments, and thank you to my Patreon subscribers. They're always there, and they're amazing. If you guys want to buy any of these cards, make sure you visit that TCGplayer affiliate link in the description below, and make sure you check me out next week for your weekly dose of magic.